Oh, my old friend, Total War Warhammer, I have missed you. Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer online battle. Today is going to mark a proper return of Warhammer on the channel. It has been something that I have kind of strayed away from for a little while. However, with the huge multiplayer drought that we've been receiving on historical Total Wars, I kind of feel like I have to make a return, not only for my own sanity, but also just for the enjoyment of creating cool stuff. I feel like Warhammer has such a good online community. It also goes ahead and with the constant update of maps and mods, it allows you to create so many interesting battles, not to mention also Creative Assembly also dropping, DLC, new units, new additions, and keeping it alive there. With regards to historical Total War, you look at the past 3 titles we've had, 3 Kingdoms, which I don't think we should even mention multiplayer for that game, because it didn't work for the first month and no one cared. Thrones of Britannia, where the battles were just the same as everything else. And Attila, again, the battles were just the same as we'd had for so long. The last good multiplayer title we truly had was Shogun 2. And now mods in Attila do add a lot of flavour and excitement. There's only so much you can do as these mods are a work in progress, so I feel like bringing back Warhammer sieges, custom maps, mob battles, and just normal engagements like we're going to see today is going to be much needed and refreshing for the channel itself. And obviously, when new historical content drops, the battles will remain, and don't worry, you guys will still be getting Attila battles with Rise of Mordor, Ancient Empires, Divide et Impera campaigns, so this is just more of like a resurgence. You'll be seeing a couple more Warhammer battles here and there, and honestly, I highly recommend, if it is something that you have not checked out in a while, I recommend going back and maybe playing the new DLC, because myself, after leaving the game for a while after being burnt out, I came back and I was like, yeah, damn, this is actually pretty fun. I'm not sure if that's just because the historical titles have worn me down, just not providing me the great battle experience I need, or maybe Warhammer is just, on a roll right now. So, sorry, that was a long intro, but I feel like I needed to kind of get through a decent portion of what I needed to say right there. So today's battle is going to be on the new DLC patch. I'm going to be playing as the dwarfs led by Ungrim Iron Fist, and I'm going to be going up against my main man Indie Pride, who's going to be using Nakai the Wanderer, who is, no longer in the jungle. He has kind of come out into the desert plains of Lustria and is ready for open combat. He is obviously going to be bringing a bunch of the new units, obviously the sacred Croxagors, who just look amazing. They also look extremely cute with their, their pretty faces and obviously awesome eyes. So he's bringing a bunch of them bad boys. He's also got red-crested skinks. They just seem to be a pretty cheap kind of heavy infantry. Well, not heavier infantry, but an infantry that can hold its own on the front lines whilst his Croxagors and other monsters do their thing. So he's going to have a bunch of these skink cohorts on the front line, not really opting for any of the more expensive lizardmen infantry. I guess especially against the dwarfs, you want kind of more of a fast moving force itself. He also does have some Pterodon riders back here, these are Pterodons, right, or not? Again, sorry, you're going to have to bear with me as I kind of get back. Yeah, they do look like them. And these guys, God, I can't tell you how much I hate the lizard flyers. They are just beyond annoying. So he's going to have 2 units of them Vanguard deploying in my back. And then for my Dwarven Force, Indie Pride as well. As I said, I haven't played Warhammer multiplayer in a good year or so, if I'm being completely honest. So Indie Pride was giving me advice. This was a friendly match at the end of the day, just to kind of, get some cool replays for you guys, and it was an extremely close battle. And yeah, obviously I consider Indie Pride probably one of, if not, yeah, probably I'd say top tier when it comes to multiplayer for sure. So yeah, going up against such an experienced opponent, he was kind of just giving me advice, telling me stuff I should and shouldn't do. So it was very much a friendly match. Before my Dwarven line, I do have some Longbeards on my second kind of battle line, which are going to be kind of, forcing Indie Pride to try and break through. I've also got some of the Dwarven Warriors as well, just cheap infantry that can kind of hold the line in for a little bit whilst my main Thunderer force shoots away and takes out his Kroxigors and shoots his beasts and his general. I also have Ungrim as well, obviously with the anti-large. He is wielding the hammer of the axe of Drogo, so that's going to give him a nice little bonus. I've also got 2 sets of cannons. I thought trying to snipe away at the Kroxigors at range would be, very valuable in this battle. A unit of Dragonback Slayers, and I believe I also have a unit of the Giant Slayers as well. Yeah, I have a unit of Giant Slayers right here as well. So I definitely got the anti-large kind of component of my army quite nicely set up, and we can just dive straight into this battle after that fairly long intro. So I'm going to move forward just a little bit. I want to get my cannons into range as quickly as possible. I mean, I could kind of maybe just sit back and shoot the Grey-Crested Skinks and the Skink cohorts a little bit. But, I mean, honestly, I want to try and get as many shots off onto these Kroxigors as possible, because with the most recent patch, these Kroxigors can output an insane amount of damage. They do become extremely scary, so getting my cannons in range of that is going to be pretty important. You can see a few cannon shots going off as I kind of move forward and decide to halt my formation. So the cannon is going to be picking off a few members of this Skink cohort unit. But again, this is kind of what the Skink cohorts are here for, just cheap, fast-moving infantry that can kind of, if they do get focused down by the cannon, it's not really the end of the world. And there you go, Indie Pride is immediately going to be moving into a sprint as my cannons start to open up. You can see some cannon shots though, finding a great couple hits on this Kroxigar unit, staggering a few of them, leaving them in place quite nicely for my formation to come up. And in this engagement, Indie Pride did kind of give me some good advice. He told me I basically wanted to play the Dwarfs as a multi-layered grinder of Thunderers. I want him, I basically just need to have lines of infantry that he clashes into for my Thunderers to then shoot. And then when they break through the next, like the first layer of infantry, they then have to go and challenge onto my second layer of infantry, meaning that my Thunderers can just constantly keep on shooting and, basically taking down his force. Indie Pride is going to go ahead and use his Pterodon Riders, bring them down, but I am going to be able to get quite lucky there with a nice volley from my Thunderers. They're going to hopefully be able to scare off these Pterodon Riders and push them back a little bit. But they are going to come in and try and cause me issues. I did try to leave some Slayers back around here to try and protect my cannons, because I knew them Pterodons would come in and cause me some issues. You can see my formation is quite kind of, disrupted setup, basically just to provide as many channels as possible. And my cannons right now are paying for themselves, taking down a huge portion of the HP on these Kroxigors, which are pretty expensive, for what they do. So if I can bring them down, that would be absolutely perfect. My Thunderer line is going to start to shoot as he does dive in. Obviously my Dwarven units are not going to be great, these Dwarven warriors, but they're only going up against Skinks, right? So it's not exactly like they're fighting the heavy infantry of the Temple Guard. So that really does, pay dividends for me, that my Thunderers can do some serious damage. And you can see right there a point-blank volley really nicely going in. However, the numbers are going to find their way through my gap. I'm going to throw any of my longbeards to try and keep these Skinks in place and get my Thunderers out of there, as I definitely do not want them to be taken out. Obviously the Thunderers, as Indie Pride drilled into me, are the main part of this army. These Thunderers have a pretty nice time of it, shooting these Skink cohorts in the side as more of my infantry comes in. I kind of seem to notice that Indie Pride is, focusing around here, leaving this left flank pretty unencumbered, so it means I can just kind of bring over more infantry and continue to allow my forces to come in. Here you go, more infantry, a nice coordinated attack there by Indie Pride, coming in and hitting my Thunderers as soon as his Kroxigors do move in and start to get into range of my Thunderers, so that he can obviously cause me some issues and repel my fire whilst I move in. But as I said, my cannons are doing so much work right now. We've almost wiped out an entire Kroxigor unit here. This one is starting to take some serious damage as well. So for the most part, I'm really happy with how well these cannons are doing. They are just shredding these Kroxigors. Even though this unit still has a fair amount of them in the unit, I'm pretty happy with that. Indie Pride is going to be dropping a Chain Lightning though on top of my Thunderers. Obviously that's a unit he just wants to see gone. I do throw in some of my Giant Slayers into fighting these Flyers, trying to once again bring them down, and I believe also Ungrim is in this fight helping out. The Kroxigors are diving in right now. Obviously my guns are going to be solely trained on them, with the cannons coming in as well. I just need my Longbeards to hold firm as best as they can. I do manage to repel some of these flyers, but once again, you know, they're just causing me such a nuisance. The Slayers are going to be moving through this fight, looking to get themselves locked in against any of these large creatures. Unfortunately, Indie Pride does do a great job at screening his Croxigors, so that my Giant Slayers can't quite hit them. A few of them kind of hit the tail end of the Croxigors, but for the most part, he's going to avoid them. Ungrim is charging in to try and take down these Croxigors as the cannon fire continues to spray and litter the battlefield. These cannoneers quickly mustering back onto their cannons. As you can see, the front line is holding and kind of doing its job. That's what the Dwarven Warriors and the Longbeards are there for, to allow my Thunderers to get as many shots off as physically possible. As well as that, I'm getting pretty lucky because the Croxigors were fairly wounded at the beginning of the battle as they smashed into my line because they were under so much heavy cannon fire. You can actually see that, you know, even my Dwarven Warriors are at least keeping them at bay for a little bit longer. And there you go, there is Nakai just charging through my battle line. He is a scary boy indeed, especially when you stick up his entity scaling to 600% on the laboratory, which I might end up doing for a video because, yeah, he gets pretty insane as he gives off a ferocious roar, shouting at my Dwarven Longbeards, but they are here. They have seen much worse in the underways as the Skaven filth and they prepare themselves for battle once again. He is being a little bit aggressive though, charging forward, and my Thunderers are obviously going to be able to get a pretty nice volley off of him if he does come any closer, and he is making his way right towards my front line. So these Thunderers are going to be able to open up. He does pop that primal roar that just goes away. They are going to be able to charge through there, but that Thunderer volley is going to start racking up the damage, and I think my cannon can also open up on him, or maybe my cannon is focusing it. My cannon is actually focusing down these Croxigors over here, getting a pretty over the head shot right there and missing, but the Giant Slayers are in, stuck in, trying to take these guys out. Ungrim is currently running around the battlefield, trying to find a target that is really his own, and I think currently, yeah, I just popped Foe Seeker, and he's going to charge his way there. The Dragonback Slayers quickly jump into action though, try and cut off the retreat of Nakai, because obviously he is a large creature, so diving in on him is great. The cannons are shooting point blank, and you can already start to see that HP going down. He does start to flee for his lives as I try and trap him in there. Even the Thunderers diving into combat with the Longbeards as well, just trying anything to keep him in place, but he is going to be able to worm his way out of that engagement. We do have some cold-blooded being dropped on the Croxigors, but once again, as they come in, they're going to be met by the Dragonback Slayers, who are, you know, this is what their entire life has led up to, is duking with these guys. So right now, you can see the balance of power is quite nicely in my favor. I say quite nicely, it's edging into my favor. However, Indie Pride, being the quality player he is not giving up. He is looking for anything he can do, and diving in onto my cannons is once again a very, very good strategy. I'm trying everything I can. You can see some fire from the forest there, trying to pick down these riders because honestly they've just been the bane of my existence, stopping my Thunderers from shooting, hitting my cannons, and as I have to commit more and more infantry to the fight, there's less back here to actually protect them. These real nice hit and run tactics with his units is definitely pinning me down. Ungrim and the rest of the Dragonback Slayers though have done a great job at routing some of the Croxigors, and I feel like I've done a pretty nice kind of job in total of just nullifying the largest part of his army. There's a lot of these Croxigors that are breaking, and you know, only going to take a couple more volleys until they are fully down. But I am running out of infantry myself now. My Thunderers don't really have a shield to protect them. Even though Ungrim is extremely healthy, it's very hard to keep him in combat with certain units, as these Croxigors are just hit and running and moving away. If anything, I need to try and get these Croxigors to rampage as quickly as possible, and Indie Pride is very smartly using his skinks to kind of scream for his Croxigors. The Croxigors come in and do a really nice hit and run, and then the skinks kind of, because they're cheap and fast moving, then kind of shield them as they retreat back. The Thunderers do have quite nice shooting lines here, again picking off, but you know, they can only flee for so long, and the Croxigors, when they do get into combat, do cause a lot of issues. And then quite quickly after, the Riders come flying in to, you know, mop up, and there's nothing really here whatsoever to stop him. You know, even though the Croxigors have fallen back, my cannons are quickly trying to be remanned. But Indie Pride is putting up such a good fight right now. I'm just trying to pin down anything I can, but the lack of my Thunderers, the lack of protection from my Thunderers is definitely causing me a few issues. I have managed to get my hands back on these cannons, and I'm not really sure what would have been a better target to shoot at. It probably would have been a smarter idea as the Riders come in once again to take these guys out. It might have been a better idea to try and just slay these Kroxigors, because they would only take 1 or 2 more cannon shots. I do have some Slayers coming in to protect, but that's literally about it. I'm not sure if you guys, feel free in the comments as well to give me advice, critique my gameplay, tell me what I should have been doing, because again, it's been so long since I've played, there's so many more factions now that it's kind of hard to tell, what I should have been doing, what I should have been focusing, so please do feel free to give me advice in the comments. Once again, my Dragonback Slayers do manage to get in onto the Kroxigors, which is so perfect for me, but they're just running away, they're fleeing, which is really unfortunate for me. Maybe a nice tactic would have been just to forgo all my Longbeards and just bring more Dwarven Warriors. That way I could have had more infantry to tie down his infantry and keep his Kroxigors in place. Maybe afford an extra Thunderer or 2. That could have been very, very useful to close out this battle. As you can see, my lines are thinning. The battle is becoming extremely close. Indie Pride has done a great job of routing the rest of my Thunderers, causing them, to basically be useless. But lucky for me, I have, a decent amount of Slayers. I have Ungrim still left alive and ready to do damage. My Slayers are on the eternal quest to chase down Nakai. I feel like they've been doing this the entire battle and just failing to catch him as he just kind of swagger walks off of this battle. So I'm managing to get a lot of my units into the right targets, it's just I can't stick them down. I'm not sure if this is just something the Dwarves have problems with. Maybe I needed more protection from my gunners in this one. That could have really helped, and you can see the Riders once again just picking away these weaker units. He does charge in though, so this is going to give me a nice chance to try and slay the enemy general if I can just get these Dragonback Slayers truly in on them. They can obviously be doing that extra bonus against large, and hopefully if he does try and pull him out, that would be very useful as well. We do get a Miasma of Despair though on all of my units, reducing their vigor and leadership and bringing them down to a target that a mass rout could affect them. Luckily, a large portion of my unit is down to Slayers. There you go, look how low he is once again. Just escaping on hardly any HP. And now Ungrim is going to have to fight bravely. I do luckily have some gunners who have just come back from routing, and these guys might be able to get a lucky shot off. You can see as well, these gunners over on this side are immediately focusing down the general, getting some perfect shots off on him. And right now you can see he's only on 1000 HP. Ungrim is going to chase him once again. I maybe should have continued on charging, but a mass rout is starting to befall my army. But then again, it's not like Indie Pride. Indie Pride only has 73 units left. Basically a few Kroxigors, his Riders, and that's about it. The gunners are running back to go ahead and get some shots off. The Pterodon Riders quickly come in and take out my Thunderers as I'm basically running my entire army back to try and save these, but it's just not going to be enough. Unfortunately, they are going to be taken out. And that's going to kind of be a big disaster for me. Luckily, I still have a large amount of HP on Ungrim. The bounce power is in my favor. And I'm just charging Ungrim in, using his Deadly Onslaught to give him some more weapon damage. I'm just trying to slay Nakai as quickly as I can as more units come in. The Pterodon Riders are going to bum rush my general. These gunners are quickly maneuvering in and closing in the distance. And this is going to be it. This is where the battle is going to be decided. Just look how quickly Ungrim goes down. But the enemy general is also so goddamn low. Oh, I did not mean to open up the chat. I meant to quickly go ahead and bring up this. Try and bring up the kills right there. Yeah, you can see, look at his HP. He's down to 129 HP. And Ungrim goes down. My units start to break. However, my Thunderers are closing in the distance. But just as they get into range, the mass rout does start to occur. And that is going to be the battle. Indie Pride bringing it back from the brink of destruction and defeat. His general surviving on 129 HP, and I think honestly the real MVPs, I could deal with everything in this army besides these Riders, the Rip Daxi Riders just really being the MVPs. They seem to have a lot of HP, and I just couldn't seem to really bring them down whatsoever. The hit and run tactics really were beneficial because I didn't want to personally focus my Thunderers on these units. Because if I did that, the Kroxigors would, cause a lot of havoc in my line. So Yeah, it was a really hard battle, and Indie Pride definitely showed me, you know, a good play style of just hit and running with the Croxagors, not just leaving them in. I feel like that's something I tend to do quite often in battles, is just throw in my infantry and kind of be like, well, they're stuck in now, you know, I might as well just leave them there and see what happens. You know, he definitely showed me that, you know, even though I was focusing the Croxagors so heavily, you know, being able to kind of hit and run with them is a very effective tactic indeed. So that was a really fun match and a great return. I think we ended up playing 3 battles, so you might see another replay or 2 on the channel from our play, but this was definitely the best one out of the 3, and I think a great replay to come back because it was just really exciting. Yeah, you can see his riders racking up over 100 kills. The Sking's doing not too bad actually, but again, they were just mainly fighting my Dwarven warriors who were just a throwaway unit. And the Thunderers are not doing great whatsoever. I guess I didn't do too well. Granted, a large amount of their damage would have been on the Croxagors, but honestly, I guess this is my big faux pas. Indie Pride shut down my Thunderers really, really effectively. So if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Let me know what you want to see next on the channel with regards to Warhammer, whether it's custom scenarios, custom battles, custom maps, or just online battles like this. Just let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.